It has the Fortune first 100 companies, the 96th number in a Fortune 5 Global 500 company list. The most important part and exciting part is in R&D investment, Huawei stands number 2. So it is not only growing the business and growing the revenue, but it is very important for the company to be on the cutting edge. And that's why there are the huge investments in R&D. That's why it is also honored with number 2. And almost.
Are you on slide 1 or 3?
I'm on a slide 3. Are you able to see the
Yeah.
slide 3?
No, I think we are stuck at slide 1. I think it's
okay.
The presentation mode somehow doesn't work.
Okay, no worries. I will change the screen sharing.
Maybe you can use a PDF. Yeah, thanks.
So are you able to see the slide 3 now?
Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Perfectly. So this is what I was talking about. So around about 200,000 employees present in 170 plus countries, ranked 96th in a Fortune list. Important part is R&D. So Huawei invests heavily in R&D, and almost 55% of the employees are working in R&D. And the vision of the mission of the company is relatively simple: bringing the digital to everyone, to the home, to the organizations, and making the intelligent world out of it by making it connected. So this is how our approach to this mission is. So we bring our products to the consumers, the end consumers, mainly the devices. We are strong suppliers of the carriers, especially in the communication area, like a 5G, 4G, 3G. You probably know that Huawei is traditionally very strong in these areas, and also providing the turnkey solution to the enterprises, helping them to digitalize their business model, their productions. And the base for this is basically the 6 pillars. It starts with the devices. It has the automation solution, so integration basically, the connectivity, the computing, that is the hardware part of it, and the cloud, providing this hardware together with the storage and network as one service to the companies. And it is coming now, upcoming part is a digital power, especially looking at the green initiatives. This will be the 6th pillar of the company. And this is again pushing it to the consumers, carriers, and enterprises to make the world digital and intelligent. This is roughly what the Huawei does on a turnover. So these numbers are in yuan. So it is around about 7.5 yuan per euro. So if you convert it into euro, it is a 100 billion revenue company in 2021. And as you can see, the revenues are growing pretty fast. And even here, the important is almost 10 billion investment goes again back in R&D. So it is 22.4% of the revenue, which is quite a unique or quite a big number. This is number 2 investment, which goes back in the R&D area. This is to give you the general idea about the company Huawei, and now how we are set up in Europe. As you can see that even Europe is the second biggest area after China. So the China, we have the biggest installation. After that, Europe is the number 2. We have over 12,000 employees in Europe. And as you can see in this map, we are spread all over in the Europe. There is some focus at a Central Europe, but you can see that we are there in the Nordics. We are there in Southern Europe, like Spain and Italy, but also the Eastern European part, like Romania and Hungary, and the UK and Ireland as well. Even from those 12,000 employees, over 3,000 are researchers, and we have a very good collaboration with over 150 universities. So the R&D as the philosophy of the company has always been the focus of company, and we are also implementing it with our technology partners and with the universities together. And the patent is one of the strongholds of the Huawei. Huawei ranks highly in the new patent issuing, and there are over 10,000 patents which are applied in the European Patent Office by the Huawei. This is what we bring to the Europe. So over 6.5 billion in the taxes, 16 billion turnover within the Europe. So we are a significant, or we are proud, and we are very good citizens of European industry ecosystem, and we contribute to the great extent to the Europe. And the idea of having this R&D in Europe is exactly in Europe for Europe. So not only that the products will come from China and the Europe is just a sales channel, but the idea is understanding, learning from the Europe and developing the European needs in Europe and implementing it in the European market. Now coming to the cloud area of the Huawei. So this is just to give the overview what the Huawei cloud is. So basically, it has over 220 plus financial customers, 700 plus government customers. Car manufacturing is one of the major companies which are on the Huawei cloud. In China, there is a very strong presence in internet customers. Almost 80% of Chinese internet customers are using Huawei as their production platform. The SAP, the ERP systems, is a very strong hold of the Huawei cloud. It is well integrated in the Huawei cloud. So there are 300 plus installations where the enterprise customers are using their SAP through the Huawei cloud. And the carriers always have been the strong business of Huawei. So over 120 plus carriers are using the Huawei cloud for their production capabilities. And below you see the technical data or the technical abilities of the cloud. So we have over 250 cloud services. Everything is based on the OpenStack or is compatible to the OpenStack. So the access to the APIs is available to the 50,000, which is very compatible with the OpenStack access. We have 38,000 partners. And when we say partners, it includes the software vendors who are cooperating with the Huawei to provide their software through Huawei Cloud, but also the pre-sales and post-sales engineering tasks. Whenever the companies need some help or technical help to deploy their workloads on the Huawei Cloud, this partner networks is very handy. And this is distributed globally. So the companies can profit from this globally. So even the local support is available for that. Over 3 million developer ecosystem, which are developing on the Huawei Cloud. And KuGallery is similar to the iPhone or the Android store, where the developers can deploy their applications in a Huawei ecosystem. It is called KuGallery. And with one mouse click, it is available on Huawei devices, end devices like mobile phones, but also the IoT devices and other end devices. So this is the melting point for all applications and softwares. Those are made available through the Huawei cloud. And this is the basic understanding how Huawei wants to offer the cloud offering. So it is not only the idea of the Huawei is not to offer just a cloud as a public cloud, but to have the end-to-end offering. It starts with the infrastructure as a service, as we classically know that it is a computing, storage, network, and safety baked in a data center, and consumers can have it either as a public cloud. So as you know from the other public cloud providers, you will get a public access, and then you can start consuming these computing and storage devices. But it is also possible to have the local installation. For example, you can have a smaller part of this infrastructure hosted in on-premise in the enterprise, and this will be the edge cloud or the private cloud. And you can always have the operations which are in a hybrid fashion. So you will have a single user interface or management UI, which will then where you will be able to manage your workloads not only on a public cloud but also on a private cloud or a combination of the both. In addition to that, we also have a partner cloud. Here the concept is Intel Inside concept. The product, the EAS product comes from the Huawei, the software, the hardware stack that will get installed in a data center and can be operated by the partners. For example, in Germany, we have a collaboration with T-Systems, the Deutsche Telekom, where the product comes from Huawei, the white label products, and the Deutsche Telekom is the one who operates, maintains, and run that cloud stack for their end customers. The second important part is the first part is EAS, where you can have a virtual machines and backend or the bare metal as a service. The second one is technology as a service, where you have a predefined technology modules for the artificial intelligence, but also the databases, IoT connectors, audio video processing services, but also the cloud native services like CI/CD pipelines, Kubernetes as a service, we call it CCE. Those are available readily. So the customers who wants to develop the cloud native, they don't have to go the hard way that installing the infrastructure first and then going to the building blocks or the platform as a service. The platform as a service is available readily and consumers can start using it directly. And the last one, which is quite a unique for the Huawei compared to the other cloud providers, is expertise as a service. So whatever we have as a infrastructure as a service, so the EAS layer, and technology as a service, the TPaaS layer, we enrich it with the best solutions which are available readily for the industry. So those are industry tailored solutions. So if you see at a government, or if you see the telco or the e-commerce or the financial industry or even the gaming industry, whatever are the basic building blocks which are needed for these industries, those are already available as a software as a service, as a SaaS offering in Huawei, which can be readily used. So the end customer, so the industry does not need to reinvent the wheel again and again. They can participate from the best practices of that industry and can start using the building blocks which have already been developed together with other enterprises and have proven as a best practice in the industry. The one example is a WeLink. It is a communication platform which has been used in Huawei internally with 197,000 employees that we have seen in the first slide. It has proven his metal, and every enterprise who wants to have a communication platform can just start using it on the Huawei cloud without reinventing the wheel again and again. And the same is true for the cloud customer services on offline stores, which are required for the different industries. And this is also the bottom line as a mission or as a bullet point. What is written here? This is taken also pretty seriously. So building secure and green cloud foundation. So green is will be on the green. There is a strong emphasis within the Huawei. That is also the sixth pillar now is a digital power, where the green energy and the green ecosystem becomes very important. And second one is developing localized ecosystem and talents. So this is also extremely important. That's why we also have the um, these kind of presentations or these kind of initiatives where we try to bring the newest technology and newest knowledge to the local ecosystem and local talents so they can adapt to the Huawei technologies and start using those more efficiently. Going next, this is an overview, the end-to-end system. So it starts with a global network and data center mesh of the Huawei. So altogether, the network has 29 regions in 170 countries with 2,800 CDN points. So it's just like the main competitors or the main participants in this market are the Akamai and others. So just like them, the Huawei has over 2,800 and POPs where the CDN can serve the internet services. 240 cloud services we have already seen. And here, the Huawei has always embraced the open source in their cloud building. So the cloud offering of the Huawei cloud itself is based on the OpenStack or is compatible with the OpenStack. And the Huawei is participating in many important open source projects. Just to name few, we are a part of or a platinum member of a Linux Foundation. We are one of the or one of the top contributors in the OpenStack. Naturally, it comes naturally because our product is compatible to the OpenStack. But we are also contributing a lot to the Docker and the Spark Hadoop kind of a development. And the important and where we are very proud of is we were one of the founding members of CNCF, Cloud Native Computing Foundation. And just as a fun fact, CNCF has a very good name and it has a lot of projects. Over 1,500 different projects now are hosted by CNCF. But if you see in the history, it has recently started. The CNCF just started in 2013, 2014 around, and it started with one project, the Kubernetes project. And Huawei was one of the founding members of that, and that also shows the what the emphasis on openness and R&D Huawei puts, because that one project has now become within the 7 years up to 1,500 projects, and this is something where we can flash out or whether we're really proud about that the development has happened this way. And on the right hand side, you can see what are the other open source projects, the flagship open source project where the Huawei cloud is contributing. Kubernetes, we have already mentioned, we are number 6 contributors there. KubeEdge, we will discuss KubeEdge and Volcano, we will discuss in this workshop as well. So there the Huawei is a leading contributor. Also the Istio, the Kubernetes monitoring and Sidekick product. There we are number 3 contributors. So the Huawei cloud is contributing heavily to the open source and making these technologies available through the Huawei cloud for the general use, also as a service, also for the people or the industries who don't want to get very deep in the technology development, but just want to use the modern technologies for the cloud native software development on their side. So this is the deep dive or zoom in the first picture where it shows the regions which we have as a cloud providers. We have as I said, 29 regions with 75 availability zones, 2,800 CDN nodes in 170 countries. And what is exciting this year for especially for the Europe is that we have launched the new data center in Dublin, which is the Huawei Cloud Europe region, and there are plans to launch another two very quickly in the Western European region, which will then make Huawei Cloud readily available in Europe as well with its own branding. We had these partner clouds with Flexible Engine in France and Open Telecom Cloud in Germany. But in addition to that, we are launching our own cloud, or we have launched our own cloud with Huawei brand as a public available in Europe now. And apart from the Europe and China, we are already present in Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Philippines, as you can see here. So what are the service portfolios? Just like the other cloud service providers, we have the service portfolio with over 56 cloud main core cloud services in 10 categories. So whatever the needs from the customers are, starting from the databases or starting from the computing, you can have the bare metal, or you can have a ECS, Elastic Cloud Server instances, the load balancers, the identity and access management. In a storage, you have all kind of flavors. It can be the object storage, just like S3. It can be the block storage or a file storage, which is readily available. In network, you can very compatible portfolio with the other providers as well. So depending on your needs, you can have the VPC. Naturally, you want to have the logically separation of your resources within the cloud. You can have the elastic load balancers, the firewall, the NAT gateway, normal gateways integrated into it. You always have the possibility to have a direct connection. This is if you are an enterprise, you don't always want to go through the internet to the Huawei cloud or to Huawei cloud region for a data exchange, because the internet is not deterministic. You probably need something which is more deterministic. So either you can have a VPN connection between your installation and the Huawei cloud, or your installation of the Huawei cloud, or you can also use the MPLS kind of a stuff where you will have a deterministic network connection. The global DNS service is available as well, and this comes with a inbuilt protection. So the DDoS attacks and other things you can see in the security area, this anti-DDoS protection. The DNS services, or all the services which are coming here, are secured with the security layer services in between. It can be the WAF, the application layer firewall, or DDoS support, and the other stuff what you can see here. So the offering of the Huawei cloud is really amazing and cutting edge, up to the mark what the other cloud service providers are also offering. And in many of these services, the efficiency, price wise, but also speed wise, sometimes we are leading in many of these categories. For example, if you compare the IO of the object store, or even if you compare the network bandwidth and the network latencies, we are in many cases 10 to 20% better than what you generally see on the market on average. These are the basic EAS offering, if you wish, the first four. The database and what you see on the right hand side are the PaaS offerings. I think many of you know these offerings already as a building blocks for the cloud. So I will not go into details here any further. But if you have any questions, or if you are interested in any particular service, there is always landing page on Huawei Cloud where you will get a descriptive information of this. And otherwise, you can also drop a mail to the support where you can get the additional help or the additional explanation. Apart from the building blocks, the main important topic is the migration path, because the Huawei not only encourages customers to put their workloads on the Huawei cloud, but the Huawei cloud is very open and transparent to have the data and service portability within the cloud market. So it is relatively easy. There are finished services to move your workloads into the Huawei cloud. But if you need a multi-cloud installations or a distributed infrastructure installations, there are also possibilities to move out the workloads from the Huawei cloud to on-prem or to the other cloud providers as well. Also, for the big data, there are quite a few tools. I would like to emphasize only on this Model Arts. The Model Arts is a complete data studio. So it has the, again, the end-to-end offering. So the Model Arts gives you the ready libraries and tools to inject your data. So for example, you can have a data in different sources, starting with unstructured data or the text files or some kind of streaming. Everything can be incorporated in this data suite to inject the data into it. It also has the same tools which will allow you to process data, that is formatting data from one to another. It has the built-in libraries to interpret to the for artificial intelligence or machine learning, the data which has you have collected, it can be interpreted using the existing libraries. But it also has inbuilt data view libraries. So you can make your data visually available in different formats and different shapes. And this all comes in a one suite. And at the bottom, it also has a data governance. And it is very granular data governance possible. For example, in that one plane, you can define who is allowed to inject the data, in what format, in what capacity, in what speed. Otherwise, many times it happens that the processing capacity is smaller than the input of the data, so that you can manage in the data governance. But you can also manage the access to individual streams and the data processing, and also on the visual side, who is allowed to see what kind of data and is allowed to do what kind of data mining or search on the data, and that everything in one plane. So this is quite a unique a service on the market where you have everything available in one suite or in one tool, which fits the all. Are there any particular questions on any service or any of this portfolio? Then I will go ahead. The second important part of the cloud service providing is a trust, because the enterprise and end users are giving their data in your hands or in a cloud service provider's hand to handle that data. So in a cloud area, it is extremely important to have the right certification and compliance mechanism. And just having the compliance mechanism is one thing that ensures the data is protected, but you need to generate this trust, or you need to guarantee this trust. That's why you need the certification that the compliance is met and is certified by the authorities. And as you can see, we have a bunch of certifications, the compliance that approves or that shows or demonstrates our compliance policies within Huawei, and that those policies are working. So to name just very typical, the ISO standards, we follow the latest ISO standards, and the Huawei cloud services are certified against these ISO standards, but also PCI, which is very strong in the finance industry, we are compatible to that. And apart from that, you can see that we adhere to the all national certifications and regulations which are required in the cloud side. So normal case, whatever the known compliance certifications are there globally available, the Huawei cloud is certified for that, and also puts emphasis that we are compliant and certified for these kind of services. This is also how we operate our Huawei cloud. As you can see, we have a global defense and threat detection mechanism. So over the clock, over the globe, we have our SOC, the security operation centers, and NOC, the network operation centers sitting, which has a close eye on what is happening in the world and what kind of cyber attacks or DDoS attacks are happening. And not only we have the AI mechanisms or the machine learning mechanisms which will do the anomaly detection and will take the take the actions according to that, but we also have a people sitting 24/7 who is looking into it, because many times the anomaly detections and the predicted detections works with the past experience. And if the threats are new or the attacks are new, you always better to have the second level of protection. So the first level of protection, automatic detection and unlimited detection, is good to have, but you always need a watchdogs who will keep a close eye on what is happening on the security side. And this is one of the, again, unique features of the Huawei cloud, that the complete cloud installations is monitored 24/7, and the security, the SOC and NOCs are active for these kind of threat prevention. This is how the footprint in Europe against localize. We have the both offering. The one is a public cloud offering, but then second one is a private offering or the partner offering. And all our installations in the Europe are GDPR compliant. So it has been made sure that these operation centers are deployed in Europe and are managed by the SRE teams and operation and management teams, which are sitting in the Europe. For the GDPR, it is very important that so also without the consent of the customer or the enterprise, the data never leaves Europe or is not visible outside of the Europe. So this is one of the again unique selling features for the Huawei cloud, that it is 100% compliant to GDPR and the all operations, including the SRE and operation maintenance, is done in Europe by the European teams. And this is basically what our summary or the message at the end is, that Huawei Cloud is a leader in a cloud native development. So we are the one of the leading ones in China when it comes to the container-based software deployment. We are extremely active or in a cloud CNCF to do the cloud native software development. We have seen the numbers. We were the founding members, the top 6 commitments to the Kubernetes and top 3 commitments to the open source community. And these are our flagship open source projects, which we are supporting right now. And you also are seeing this in detail in these 3 days in the workshops. This is what I mentioned. The Huawei Cloud Stack is available as public offering, but it is also available, or it is also possible to have the on-prem installation of this, and that everything is managed through the unified APIs in one management platform. So you always have a one plane for managing all your infrastructure, whether it is a public, private, or in a hybrid fashion. This is again emphasizing the end-to-end offering of the Huawei cloud. So it is not only the best infrastructure and platform as a service and the expertise as a service, but it also has a supporting plans. So you can always have the pre-sales engineers and post-sales engineers supporting you actively in moving your projects to the Huawei cloud. And the expert services are also available if you have any technical details, or while doing the architecture, what is the best fit, how you can move your workloads to the cloud, but also doing the optimization. Once you are in the cloud, getting on the cloud is one thing, and then doing the cloud native development so you can have the cost efficiency and scaling effects is another thing. And there is expert services available for both of these, the two portions. The one is getting into the cloud, and second is using the cloud native for the best optimized experience of the cloud. The KuGallery, we have already talked. So here you have the possibility to deploy your software in the KuGallery. And right now, the Huawei has over 900 million devices running actively running in the market, with over 5 million monthly active users. So once you put your application or the software in a KuGallery, you open your new sales channel, because just with a mouse click or just with a one click on an end device, your application can be deployed on over almost 1 billion devices in the world. And this is what the focus area for the Huawei cloud are. So we are building, not only we are providing the cloud services, but the emphasis on the ecosystem and establishing the best practices for the different industries. And we have the use cases or very successful customers and use cases from the internet, government and public areas, from the automotive sector, with the universities. We have a very strong software suite or software tools in the Huawei cloud, which will support you in audio and video processing. This is also important for the gaming, where the rendering is also part of this. Energy manufacturing, finance, biomedicine, and the transportation are the main focus ecosystems where the Huawei cloud is putting emphasis and has a good expertise in. So the punchline is again building and secure green cloud foundation for Europe, for an intelligent Europe and in Europe. So that is the message from the Huawei Cloud with its launch in 2023 as a public cloud brand in Ireland first. So thank you very much for your attention, and we can go through the questions.